Let us start tonight's meeting, and I believe we had, was it a 7:05?
No, 7:05 is the second, so the first one.
All right, so the applicant for 6 Brown Road, would you please come up?
I'm going to read the legal notice.
Yes,
Okay. All right, I'm going to read the legal notice. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held on Thursday, October 20th, 2022, at 7 p.m. by the Oxford Zoning Board of Appeals at the Oxford Town Hall, 325 Main Street, Oxford, Mass., to consider the special permit and variance application of Felix Familia for property owned by Douglas L. Quarshie, located at 6 Brown Road, Oxford, Mass., Assessor's Map 37, parcel A05 in the R1 Residential Zoning District. The applicant requests a special permit in accordance with Chapter 3, Use Regulations, subsection 1.2.2.1 of the Oxford zoning bylaw to alter or extend the pre-existing non-conforming nature of the existing dwelling to construct an addition, and request a variance in accordance with Chapter 10, Dimensional Requirements, Table 4 of said zoning bylaw from the required front yard setback for construction of the addition, and further in accordance with Chapter 48, Section 10 of Mass General Laws. The application can be viewed in the office of the town clerk or land management department during normal office hours. Anyone desiring to be heard on this matter should appear at the date, place, and time designated, or submit written comments to the board before the date of the hearing. See masspublicnotices.org for legal notices. To applicants of the Zoning Board of Appeals, you are hereby advised of the following provisions of the Oxford zoning bylaws. Appeals to the Zoning Board of Appeals must be filed within 20 days from the date or order of decision which is being appealed, specifying the grounds thereof. Variances. In order for a variance to be granted for the requirements of this bylaw, the Zoning Board of Appeals must find that all the following conditions have been met. A, there are unique circumstances relating to the soil conditions, shape, or topography of such land or structures that B, especially affect such land or structures but do not generally affect the zoning district in which it is located, and that C, a literal enforcement of the provisions of this bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, but not of a personal nature, to the petitioner or appellant, and that D, desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the purposes of this bylaw. Special permits may be issued only for uses which are in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this bylaw and shall be subject to general or specific provisions set forth herein. In addition, conditions, safeguards, and limitations on time and use may be imposed by the board when issuing a special permit. In granting the special permit, the board shall determine if the following conditions have been met. A, the site is an appropriate location for the use or structure. B, the soils are suitable for on-site sewage disposal. C, an adequate water supply can be provided. D, the uses developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. And E, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. In accordance with Chapter 40A, Section 15 of the Mass General Laws, you are hereby advised that any person aggrieved by the decision of the board relative to this matter must file an appeal as provided for in Section 17 of said Chapter 40A within 20 days after the date of the filing of this decision in the office of town clerk.
thank you very much. I'll turn the matter over to the applicant.
Well, in behalf of Mr. Douglas here, we have considered that we have met the requirements. The soil have been already inspected by the Board of Health in conjunction with the septics from Northborough Engineering, and I believe they already approved the construction of a new septic for this property. In addition, this addition is going to be, I understand that we did a survey, and he's not in compliance because it's like 10 feet away from the requirements of this property in question. And this addition is going to be to the right side of the house. The property is already now in compliance, so what we did was we walk around the neighbors, and we have some signatures, so everybody agrees that, it's not gonna alter the view of the neighborhood, so I believe that we should grant the permission to do this construction.
Can you lay out for the board the purpose of the addition? What's gonna be in there? How many stories? Are there gonna be additional bedrooms? Just laying it out for us.
Okay, it's gonna be an addition, and we're gonna have another bathroom, and that was we're gonna add another bathroom, and that was the reason, because we have to extend the existing septic that is only 1,500 gallons, and we extend it to 2,500. It's gonna be two another bedrooms.
Yes, we extended the basement and we have a bedroom on the first floor. And the reason why we're doing all of this is I have a special needs daughter, and we need to make room for her to grow. We also put in an elevator to get her from
From upstairs to downstairs.
upstairs to downstairs. And basically, we need,
In the current structure or in the addition?
in the current structure, once we do that in the current structure, we run out of room, so we have to do the addition. Plus, we put in her in her own room with our own bathroom, and we only have a 3-bedroom, and we have two other kids. So we're moving her into our bedroom, where she'll have a bathroom and she'll have her medical stuff set up for a sizable room, and then we're making the addition.
All right, if I could just take a step back.
Yes,
The structure that's currently existing,
yes,
how many bedrooms are?
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms. Is it 1 down and 2 up?
No, all 3 are upstairs.
All 3 are upstairs. And how many bathrooms?
2 bathrooms.
All right, so 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Yes.
So you're putting in addition, are you adding a 4th bedroom?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you say, or your builder said that you are increasing the size of the septic system?
Yes, we are. And we had the Board of Health out there that did the soil test. It was approved. The engineer submitted a plan to the city, and I believe that was also approved, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, please
No,
continue.
Yes, that was also approved by the city. So, right now, what we're waiting on is a special permit to start construction.
And the variant, correct. So I can reapply for the permit, which was denied just because of this reason. We gotta first clear this with the zoning department and the Board of Health. And once you take a decision, you put tonight, then we can continue and go forward and fulfill Mr. Quasi dreams.
All right. Was there anything else you'd like to lay out for the board before I open it up to the board for any questions?
No, I think we covered all that. No.
Well, no. Pretty much, that's it, right?
Pretty much that's it, just.
Okay, all right, I just want to give you the opportunity. So we're going to start down with you, Bob, if you would, please, any questions, comments?
I noticed that the house sits on an angle to the road. So the existing building is how many feet back from the road now?
40-something, right?
48.
Okay,
Well, it looks like from the plan you submitted,
Yeah.
prepared by Ludwig, it's less than 40 feet.
Less
Yeah.
than 40 feet, okay.
Really?
Yeah, but I thought
Mine
it was
shows
about
40.5.
Yeah, about 40, yeah.
yeah.
Ah, okay, no, I stand corrected, it's 40.5,
yeah.
okay.
Okay,
For the current existing
So-
house.
yeah, I get it. Whereabouts, where's the bath gonna be on this new addition? We don't have,
I have hard copies. Sorry to interrupt. I have hard copies of the.
Okay,
Of
all
the
right.
actual, and the existing and the proposals here.
If I could, one second, is it possible to get an overhead shot of the plans up on, no, it's not, okay.
No, I didn't think so. All right, that's all right, okay.
If you want to see, we could show you.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty big. You can see.
I'm,
that.
I don't have too many questions about it. I see what you're doing. Tom?
Tom?
Okay, typically, when an applicant comes to put up an addition on a property, we typically look at what's called a pre-construction floor plan and a post-construction floor plan. What you're doing at that point, when you submit all of that information to us, you're providing evidence. Right now, the only evidence being presented to us right now is word of mouth. And we're not supposed to take that kind of information as word of mouth. We need some hard copy. So, with that being said, I'm recommending that a pre and before construction floor plan and after construction floor plan, what it's
We,
gonna
we
look
have it here.
like. Again, you have to
We have
provide
this
a
up, okay.
hard copy. That's what we're looking at.
Well, if I may, Tom, have you submitted those plans to Mary in the?
I did, and Mary gave me a list of requirements, and I just checked mark whatever I have to submit to you guys, and this was one of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't take copies. I was just told to make 19 copies and submit it with a.
So were those plans submitted to Mary?
Yes.
Can you bring those up and, let's take a look.
Put them on Mary's table and that way we can gather around and look. It should be a reconstruction floor plan, that's
Existing.
It's the existing basement, that's the new basement, is the 24 by 24, 25 by 25 addition. That's what that is.
Okay, they're connecting.
Now,
To the right side of the house.
that's the foundation plan, so the next one.
Is that the existing chimney right there?
Yes, sir.
This, existing, that's a fireplace,
Okay,
or,
got it. But it, because I looked at the house, it's a tan-colored house, yellowish
Yes.
tan?
Mhm.
yeah, there should be a chimney on the side, so. Okay, there's. Yeah, she's having her own suite, which is, that's fine.
This new master bedroom, is this gonna be, that will be a master bedroom, that will not be for your daughter, correct?
Yes, this
So she will be,
moving into the.
okay, and that has access to this
Yes.
bedroom here. Okay, all right, so this is gonna be a new master suite for
Suite, yeah.
you, okay,
Additional.
I get it.
And when she goes in the bathroom,
Right.
we got to change her special
Yep.
bathroom for her, so.
Here's the other guy going in access here.
So, you're extending the house backward as well?
Yes.
That's
So
a
it's
porch.
No,
Yeah.
that's a, oh, you are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you get ready, that's a porch right now.
Yeah, that's a
right?
porch.
And now you're gonna fully enclose it and use it as another
Correct.
living space.
Now, where's the basement plan for that? For the
Well,
porch?
it looks like it's not gonna be a,
No, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be a slab foundation for the porch. That was an existing porch there, so we just extended it.
Crawl space?
Cross space, correct.
Now, is there, for this porch, is there a board footing and a foundation?
It's gonna be a pool footing in the foundation once if we get it.
I know here, but here, what's supporting the porch?
The actual porch
Yeah.
is just footing with Suna tubing.
That's it? That's gonna support the kitchen?
No, we gotta redo and
Okay.
put more footings and put more.
take it out and
Oh,
put a
Correct,
slab.
correct.
Okay.
We're gonna put a slab
But,
into it.
that issue really isn't in front of us, that's up to the building.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
And that's beyond our scope.
Yeah.
that part of it is.
So you have this door out, and that's it?
Yeah.
And this is? Pre-existing.
That's your-
Ah, okay, so, okay, yep, I got that.
that's your roof.
So it's gonna be, one story?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of a split level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Split level, which is half a story below grade, that's all.
But you're not going up, to have a second story on
No.
this?
No, no.
It's the same line, same roof line.
Mhm. Yeah, so as you can see, it's gonna be straight line from the roof from here.
And you submitted these plans to the town?
Positive.
It's weird because normally we would have received something in our package.
Well, actually, the only discrepancy was because they,
Inspector too, so.
Oh, is it? We need to have Mary,
We'll take a look at our qualified
scrutinize
list,
things.
and list of requirements. Make sure we freshen them up.
Okay, I've seen what I need to, but thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I'll set too.
Um,
At this point, I got no questions.
The septic plans would not appear on this?
Right.
It would be on a separate plan?
Right.
Do you have the septic plans?
that was also submitted, I got it in my email, but that was also submitted to Mary.
I don't recall seeing that in our package either.
Well, it's, I'll bring it up in the form of a question. Did I list those questions?
Turn this on.
For the septic.
Look at it,
But you
looks,
submitted it to the city, so I figured they'd have.
Yeah.
You know, just to continue, I guess, with the questions, typically also when they present a site plan, when your surveyor presents a site plan like this, he's typically supposed to put on there where the septic system and the well is also, just to make sure that any addition that you do put on doesn't encroach on and make it dangerous for the septic system or the well. You already have an approved plan, so that means a survey was already done.
Correct.
The surveyor could very easily take that information and plug it into this, or provide a copy to show us where
The septic
the septic is in relationship to the building addition. That's not such a tough thing to do, that's a pretty easy thing to do. So that, and the same with locating the well, even on your septic plan, they've located the well.
Yes.
And it would have been easier just to put it on here to show us, just to make sure we're not intercepting a well line or anything like that, and now make sure that all the other players, the Board of Health and the building inspector, are notified. And then the only other question I have is, because we're gonna be granting, or, you know, we're proposing, gonna propose a dimensional setback from the front line, we do not have, if you look on the addition, proposed addition does not have a dimension line that's coming back, coming from the road.
It's confusing.
the far end, doesn't it have one that's
The
48?
far end is only 40.5. This one at the addition is probably, it probably looks like about 46 feet.
But
Yeah,
it doesn't get, it should
It
have
should have
an
the dimension line.
exact measurement.
Because we're gonna grant relief for that addition at that point.
That's why I asked if it was on an
So-
angle to the
Right.
road. That was
So
my question.
let
So
me,
instead of a 10-foot
so
request for.
you're coming before us looking for a variance.
Yes.
And you're gonna say, we want a variance of X number of feet, whatever it is, 3 feet, 5 feet, 7 feet. So we need to know exactly what it is you're looking for, because otherwise we can't grant just a variance. It's a variance for a specific number of feet.
And I can show them I'll show them
But Tom, just to be clear, on the far right side of the addition,
the
there
far
is,
right side of the addition.
there is a line that says 48 feet setback.
Yes, but that's not for the,
It's not the
that's for
close,
the distal corner. No, I'm talking about.
You're talking about the-
proximal corner to the
okay,
house.
yep, no, I get it, okay.
Just wanted to have the surveyor drop in that dimension line from that corner of the house to the property line. And that way, instead of the required 50 feet, you may only need, instead of a 10-foot relief, you may only need 6 feet. So it makes a difference.
So I should go back to the surveyor and.
Just have him draw
redo-
that on, and then take your septic plan and give it to him so that he can plug that in too.
And the well,
And that would take care of the,
Sounds like a plan.
'Cause you don't want to ask for 6 feet
And the
of
well.
relief when in fact you needed 7 feet of relief.
I got it.
Was there anything else, Tom?
and just make sure the well gets put on the plan, and that's it.
septic well and distance. Do we also need some hard copy of the plans for the,
Yeah, I would want Mary to send them out to us prior to our next, our next date for the continued public hearing.
and they don't have to be that size, right? A lot of times they're reduced.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, but, you know, I want us to have the detailed plans before us so that we know exactly what we're voting on and the exact relief being requested and provided. All right, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I don't think we're really looking for, we're not looking for an architect set of plans either. All we're looking for is a roughed out.
Like this?
Well, it's a little bit more than roughed out, because it's gonna say
more
the
exact
exact
scale.
amount being
Right, but
sought.
I don't need to know how many 2x4s and.
No,
I don't need all that
Is
detail.
it just a couple certain pages
Just
there? You just
show
want a
the
small?
petitions and label
Just
each,
show the partition and just add the wall into
right.
to the surveyor.
Well, so just to be clear, I think there's three things that we're asking to be on the surveyed plan, right? You're looking for the septic location,
The
the
well
well
located.
location, and the distance, the closest distance to the road that the addition is.
Right.
Those
Well,
three
on the
things.
septic plan, you want a layout of where the components are of the septic system. You know, the
Box
piping,
leach
the
field.
trenches.
Where the septic tank
Well,
is.
if you- but if you-
The surveyor can do all of that very easily. He'll just plug it in there at the
Yeah,
right
I just
scale.
provide him with all the information.
Right,
and
you
I'm just
give him
giving-
that, give him the septic plan, and he can plug it all together.
I will.
And
Was there anything else, Tom?
I'm all set.
Al?
Yes. When I was looking at those plans, is there a new garage under
No,
the house?
no, that's
On
not
the
a new garage.
either
It's
end?
a 16 garage.
Existing garage, yeah.
Is there an existing garage?
It's an
There's no
existing garage.
driveway shown on the plan, and I would like to see the driveway. However,
Right here, Al. You got a big driveway. That's all paved area.
oh, okay.
There is an existing garage and there's an detached garage to the left side of the driveway, so they have a
The
big garage.
garage, there's a garage under the house?
Under the house, yes.
Yes.
Okay. What I would want to see, before I voted on it, is a plan of the elevation of the front of the house that other people are going to see from the street. Because that's kind of what I base my decision on, as to how it affects the neighborhood.
Plan
Looking at
of the elevate, so,
Front elevation, they have it on this plan, but I mean, there's a whole bunch of
you mean a
plans that-
front view?
Yeah, the front view is, at least that one, I want to see the front view. However, I know that this time of year, winter's coming in and people want to get going. I don't know if there's any other way we can work around that.
Well, I think it's gonna be difficult to vote on this tonight because we have nothing before us as to the exact relief being requested. You know, other than, the right to put up the addition, but nothing as to the location.
I think one of the
location,
you
I
were gonna be
believe.
gone for a
Well,
while?
and by location, I mean.
Distance.
Yes, what relief you are requesting,
Okay.
because really that's what you're here for.
And if it's approved, that actually gets recorded on your deed.
Okay.
It has to get recorded at the registry of deeds, and would say the footage that's granted for relief.
Okay.
I have nothing else to add, look off, but I wanna see that, so we have
What
it
you actually want
in
to
our
see,
records.
you want to see is in your records, what I have in front of me right now, which is the
That
front
whole
view.
thing is
Some of-
fine.
some
yeah.
of that.
You may have already delivered it, but
No, I'm saying-
at least the front
think that's what we
elevation, I
have.
wanna be able
This
to
is
see,
it.
yeah, see it.
That has all the information we were looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr.
We don't
Chairman.
have it, that's all, it wasn't presented
Presented,
to
okay.
us. It may have been to our office, I don't know. They're saying they brought it in.
Right, our, what's Mary called, sorry?
Our
Our
clerk.
clerk is not here tonight, Mary, and so.
I know Mary very well.
We're missing that information, but if I could, Mr. Chairman, it seems that we're asking for some additional information. Sounds like we're gonna have to continue this
Yes.
to maybe next Thursday or what have you. However much time it takes them to get the
Yes,
surveyor
please.
to add those three things. And we can be clear on what those are, right, just so there's not confusion, right? You wanted to see the septic location on the survey, the well location, and the distance to the road of the
New addition,
furthest, the closest part of the addition.
Closest, okay.
It's the part where it meets the existing house.
Okay.
And then I also heard that we want some type of plans, the front elevation and the floor layouts, so some type of photocopies, and they can be reduced sizes of the plans, just so we have a record of what was requested.
Okay.
Normally, it would just be on like an 8.5 by 11.
That's what I'm saying, it can be reduced down to
Just show
this
them the
size
front.
paper.
This is the
whole
first time
plan.
it has not been in our package.
Right.
But you know what it is, because now that with the new system, we hardly provide hard copies into the building anymore, so we just upload it in our computers and we submit it into the building department. That's how it's done. So that's why you probably didn't have either access or hard copy of the plans, which I already wrote it down. I can provide you with hard copies, just zoom in a little bit and bring it into the department.
That's not a spare set of plans, is it?
No, that's not the original.
Okay,
plans.
yeah, okay.
So I gotta go to Staples, whatever, and how many copies do we need? 19 again?
No,
Just we only need one copy for the
one
record.
copy. for-
One copy for all of you, so you can share.
And it's,
One for each of us.
It's on the 8.5 by 11, we can.
Would you like for me
One
to?
for each of
No,
us.
no, but, look, we're not talking about copying all of those plans.
No, just like
Exactly what Mr. Purcell laid out earlier. If there's any question, I'm sure he'd be okay to repeat it. But we, as a board, each member should have a copy of those pages that deal with what you are asking us to vote on.
Correct. No, the reason because I'm asking you, because at the beginning, they asked me for 19 copies of the application, original application, and I did brought all the copies. So what we need is like 5 copies.
Yeah,
And then you
that's-
need
that's
the variance, we need to measure that, the wall location, the septic location, and now the elevation of the front. Would you like for me to add the location of the detached garage as well? And the dimensions of the driveway, because they do have a big driveway.
In the setback from
On
the
this
street.
I
plan.
mean, the existing garage is
The
already
newer-
on
of
there,
the
correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. Now, how soon can you have those copies into Mary? We can continue this to next Thursday, other than that, if it's not next Thursday, we're looking at the 10th of November.
Oh, Thursday's fine. Thursday's fine. So what time they closes the building tomorrow? Noontime?
12:30.
12:30? So I gotta be in Northborough by 8 o'clock, but then after that, I can submit those.
He's got to get the survey.
I gotta get the surveyor involved, that's what it's gonna take longer, but these guys are running behind. It took me 2 months to get this surveyor to come to the house and do the drawing, but I
Well-
spoke to him tonight and
I'm fine continuing this to next Thursday, but you're gonna have to have, you
all
know,
the proofs, all the copies.
and the surveyor's gonna have to add that information.
Got it.
Are you comfortable that you'll be able to get that done before next Thursday?
Positive.
All right, then we will,
I'm not available until, after the 12th.
of November.
Right. So if the 4, that's all you need is a 4.
We could also
Well-
get Stephen.
I'll put it to you like this. If there are only 4, everyone needs to vote in favor.
Okay.
So we can go to next Thursday, and you're only gonna have 4, or we can go into November.
Mr. Chairman, just, there's a possibility Stephen could be here if he signs the affidavit.
There's a possibility, but
Yeah.
as we sit here right now, I don't know that. So I'll put it to you, which would you prefer?
Thursday.
Next Thursday?
Yeah.
Very good. Then this public hearing is continued to next Thursday at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
And I'll have a second,
Second.
and we'll vote.
Yes.
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 And I'll make it unanimous. Thank you very much. We will see you here next Thursday at 7 PM.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice time.
Thank you. I'll call Stephen and see if he.
You know, it's cold outside. I hope you have socks on.
They're
this
on. Better believe it. Put them on. I knew I was coming here.
You didn't get any of those fancy socks like.
No, no, no. I'm much simpler. Much simpler. I have got.
Oh, fancy interior pictures.
Fancy interior pictures.
Where's the potato chip aisle?
What was that?
What's to know where the potato chip aisle is?
Nice, nice.
It'll be there.
Like it.
Okay, we are continuing the public hearing on Cumberland Farms application, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Tom Reedy, an attorney with Bacon Wilson out of Amherst, here on behalf of Cumberland Farms and its application for a special permit for the alteration or extension of a pre-existing non-conforming gas station, and then also for several variances parking in front setback, landscape buffer relief, and then signage. And so we were here 2 weeks ago. We had talked about all of it. It seemed like the only outstanding really comments or issues related to the signage. And so what we did is we went back to Cumberland Farms and had a pretty frank conversation with them and said, here's what we heard. We heard from the Historical Commission. We heard from the board. Here are their concerns. What can you do? And so I think what I'd like to do is I can show you, what was proposed previously, and I'll probably start here. As you recall, initially what was proposed, there was the pylon sign at the 25-foot height with white supports on each side, and then you had areas, and I'll show you on the next one, the farmhouse market underneath it. We had originally proposed 3 canopy signs, one where my cursor is now, and then one on each of the ends, and then we had proposed 3 wall signs on the building, one on the parapet, I suppose, on the front of the building, areas right here, and then a third one on this side of the building, and I can show those better in the elevations. But that's what we had proposed, and this is the pylon sign. And so what we heard was several things about this RIA's sign on the building, about the sign on this northerly facade, and then about the freestanding sign generally. And so we went back to Cumberland Farms, like I said, had the discussion. And so what the new proposal is pared down. So we've eliminated this sign altogether. So that northerly side facing Fairlawn, there's no proposal for any sign. So we had talked about turning off the blah, blah, blah. It's gone. The 2 canopy signs on the ends remain. As you recall, we originally applied for 3. We're only asking for 2. The Ria's Pizzeria sign, and the chairman noted the interior pictures, and I'm going to get to those momentarily, but that Ria sign is really important. It's their new brand. It's not just that, if you've been into a Cumberland Farms recently, they have a pizza container, something that you'd see maybe at an indoor sports facility, something with just pizza on it. Now what they have is, so this is the Norton store. I was actually just there last evening asking for a variance for the Ria's Pizzeria sign and received it. This is what the interior of the store is going to look like, and so obviously much different than what you're accustomed to in a Cumberland Farms. And you'll see the time and design spent on that pizzeria, and it's something that, frankly, is just really important to Cumberland Farms. So what they did is reduce the size of this sign, and then based upon really what we heard, I think it was Tom, it was your suggestion. Let me see if I can get to right here. They're proposing external illumination, so it's smaller than it was. I think it was about 34 square feet internally illuminated. Now it's less than 30 feet. I think it's 29 and some change, externally illuminated. And so you've got 2 gooseneck downcast lightings focused just on that Ria's sign. And this is essentially the same location that they put it in Norton. Norton, they have internally illuminated. When I was there last night and looked at the store, it's a pretty blank wall. And it actually fits, they don't have it up there yet, but it will fit nicely because that wall, you've got the glass everywhere else. This will be a nice accent. And then what they did to tie in that gooseneck lighting and to really, I think, pick up that colonial feel, they've also done gooseneck exterior illumination here as well. So where this had been internally illuminated, now the wall signs on the building are all externally illuminated, which I think has a little bit of a softer, more colonial touch. So that's the building. And then with the freestanding sign, what we're proposing to do is keep everything the same as it was originally proposed, and then wrap the entirety in that stone. And so we had looked at that Market Basket Plaza, I think it's Oxford Crossing sign, and it is entirely wrapped in that stone. And so that's what they've agreed to do. And they've also, if I could zoom in, they've got the planter proposed down here, you know, to the cap of it, about 30 inches, as we had discussed, right? So out of the sight line, and then that whole thing is wrapped in the proposed stone fascia. And so those are really the changes that Cumberland Farms, after we went back and say, you know, what are you married to? What aren't you married? What are the big pieces here? Understanding the pushback we got. This is what we've come back with. I think is a pretty good compromise, reducing the total square footage of the wall signs, making those exterior illumination changes, and then wrapping the entirety of the support structure and the base in that stone. And so I'm happy to answer questions if you've got any, but that's what we've got.
I'll open it up to the board. Bob?
Are you gonna sell gas for $2.58?
You know, they tried to make it a condition. They tried to make it a condition of my permit last night, too. And I wish.
Only for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Until the Strategic Petroleum Reserve has been refilled.
Refilled, oh. Well, it's going to be down soon, so that's another topic for another day, I suppose.
I like what you came back with, personally. I know there was an issue with the sign on the building, and I know that we had discussed the lighting come back in rather than the internal lighting and stuff, and the lit sign on the Fairlawn Ave end, you eliminated that altogether. I think that was a smart move.
Thanks.
I think you guys have met us probably more than halfway. That's my opinion. I know there was a question about the grids in the windows, and I think you addressed that according to what I've seen here. You got, what, 6/6 or something in here?
Yeah, the rest of them, I think, are 6/6, and then we've got
Yeah.
those grids at the
And,
top of here.
I think that was brought up by the Historical Commission, and wrapping the sign in with the stonework. I think that's gonna dress it up very nicely and so on, and I think you guys have done your homework.
Thank you very much.
Tom?
I concur, I agree that, but I'll go to $2.75 a gallon.
Not a penny over 276.
But, again, I think you've gone about you've gone more than the halfway, and I think that as far as I'm concerned, you've done your best to come up with the Historical Commission's requirements and ours. I think it's a great-looking building.
Yeah, I think you'll be proud of it when you see it, you know, assuming we get through everything in real life.
Yeah.
It'll be a nice, you know, and I hate to go back to it.
I
but
love the detail, you show the detail of the
Love to go back
stonework
to
and
it.
stuff around the
Yeah.
building, too.
Yeah, and this is, and it's similar to, you know, a Sturbridge. What you see, the stonework there, that's the stonework that's going to be here as well. I mean, this is what you've got, and, you know, well, this is almost what you'll have, you know, now you've got that stonework here. I think it really just,
Now, those are gonna be your flowers to take care of, not
yeah,
ours.
I have to,
We don't have to get our
right.
gardening crew
no,
to.
no, no.
If Cumberland Farms will pay his hourly rate, he'll drive out to do it.
Better believe it.
I'm all set.
Thank you.
Al?
Yeah,
Well, I would add that while Al was not here 2 weeks ago, he has viewed the tape, and he signed an affidavit, review public hearing evidence affidavit, and in the chairman's opinion, he is able to and will take part in this hearing and vote.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, Al, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of questions from looking at it that I wasn't here to get a chance to ask, so it's a couple simple things. What's a receiving area?
Sure, so let me get.
Because it looked like there was nothing there when I was looking at the plans. but I said
Is that the floor plans that you looked at?
yeah, that's the receiving area is just outside the building on the south side.
It's outside. Let me get to the floor plans.
Probably, yeah, it's a pad outside it with, like a dock.
But it doesn't
But it's,
show
not- I
on
don't
the
think,
plans.
I don't think there's an elevation. Oh, yeah,
See, from that, looking at the building, that side,
Over here?
it says,
Yeah,
yeah,
on
the
the south side
receiving
of the
area is there, but in the plan, didn't show what a receiving area was. I was just curious as to,
So it's typically where a.
there were trucks driving back and forth
Precisely, yeah, and they
there.
would unload it. You know, if they've got, you know, whatever materials that they're going to have, they would, Coca-Cola.
So there was like no doors there or anything.
Yeah, and so I think typically, I'm gonna try to blow this up.
Very, very fine print on the first page of what he presented tonight. It says trash,
receiving is. right in front,
cardboard,
Right there.
Yeah, there you go, precisely. So, yeah, you've got,
and the back part is a gated fence.
yep. You're doing a great job. I'm gonna let you go.
That's about all I have.
And then around here, you'll see that there is a
You have good eyes.
door, yeah, that's excellent. So there's a door back here, and if we had a floor plan, this is where kind of the back of the house is, if you will. So this is where the storage for the crates of Coca-Cola or orange juice or bread or whatever it is brought in here. So typically, I think, you know, someone would reverse into here, they'd unload it, and then they'd bring it around on this walkway and into that door.
Is that gonna be like little fence around there?
Not the receiving area, no. The trash enclosure is such, it is a trash enclosure. So it'll actually be enclosed.
Wouldn't
with
see it. I mean, you'd
fence.
see it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, precisely.
The screen.
It's fully screened, yes.
Now, the other thing I noticed today, I went to the site.
Hmm.
Along the back, there's a lot of trees. And beyond that receiving area from there down, you had mentioned that hearing that septic was going in that area.
Yes.
Some of them trees, most of the trees are like within 5 feet of the property line. Kind of gives protection for the neighbors, but I was curious as to how many of that trees was going to be left.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so here, we've got our demolition plan. And so that existing stockade fence is going to remain. And then you'll see here, it's, there's the wooded area called out, and we're removing existing trees only to the extent necessary to facilitate the installation of the proposed septic system. So if we can save them, by all means, we'll save them, yeah.
I mean, some of them hung over a long way, so
Yep.
I didn't know whether you'd trim them or.
Yeah, no, I don't think we would, again, only, so the Massachusetts law is if it is extending over a property line, you can cut it up to that property line.
I meant they come on your property
Yeah,
like
yeah.
20 feet. The trunks were 5 feet, but they extended out.
They
So
extend-
you might
yeah.
have to trim them, but if they're left there.
Depends what the excavator
If it's
arm-
only a septic
Subsurface.
system that's going in the ground, they probably still hang out and
Yeah, as long as,
probably
Whatever
keeps the
needs to-
noise, not necessarily from your, because your building will probably stop the noise, but the highway noise.
oh, interesting, yeah.
Probably gives a screening to the people that live
Yeah.
on the next street back there.
Yeah. No, and that's what's called out to be. It's a good.
And
point.
the only other thing, I'd be interested in hearing what the historical commission has to,
And
Have you
I
got
will
together
give
with
them,
them?
I'll give them an opportunity
That's all
to
I
come
have.
up again.
so I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I don't have really any much to add, although I do, the rendering that shows the street side, the view from the street of the fully landscaped lot, I think it's very tasteful. I think it's a big improvement. I don't have anything else to add.
I would just add that, Counsel, you did a great job.
Thanks.
You put forth a very comprehensive set of plans 2 weeks ago, and there was, I think, good faith effort in the changes from then to now, and I want to thank you and Cumberland Farms for doing that.
Thank you.
I would ask whether there are any members of the public, including the Historical Commission, if you would like to come up and address any matters. They're pointing at each other.
Yeah,
No, you, no, you.
Okay, who's going to take a step back?
yeah.
I'm sorry, you yield to what? Oh, I thought you said something else. Okay. Would you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Jean O'Reilly, Fort Hill. Yes, I would concur with what you have all said. The plan looks better. It's getting better and better. I do have some questions. One of the questions is, what is the height, the new height of the pylon sign? Is it 20 feet?
25 feet. It's the same as it was previously.
Okay, what's the possibility of lowering it down? Because we've seen some signs for Cumberland Farm, and you're in a very sensitive area, and you know that. I mean, there's been talk about that, I think, the last time you met. We know that there's one on Route 20, and it's about 10 feet high, 10 feet high.
Where is that?
I think it's in Sturbridge.
Okay.
And it's
Downtown Sturbridge, right on that stretch where you've got a lot of,
it's in a much bigger, busier area.
okay.
And
Traffic, I would
it's 9 or 10 feet high, and it looks more in keeping with the area.
Yeah.
And because of the area that you're reconstructing everything in, would like to see some consideration given to bringing it down somewhat. 10 feet, 11 feet, 12 feet, that certainly would be in keeping with the end of a very historic area, which I know you've all talked about. And it would be seen because it's the only facility like that in the area. So certainly it would be recognized, it would be seen, and see, whatever you're doing to that area is going to set the tone for other businesses. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking to see a few feet less, closer to 10 feet. What is the square footage of the pylon sign now?
The
Is
same
it
as it was, so I believe
close to 90?
80.
80 feet?
79 square
80 feet? What is the possibility of bringing it down closer to 32? Because, and the reason why I say that is, going back to the Sturbridge sign, it appears to be 30 to 35 square feet. And again, it's a very different area than in a historic area of our main street. So would like to see some consideration given to that. Have another question, and it regards the canopy. Now, we know that there are different designs for canopies, and the one that you seem to have proposed for Oxford seems to be pretty generic. Would like to see some consideration given to a little better quality canopy, something that might be curved around at the top in the front, maybe some shingles on the top, something to dress it up somewhat. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I'm waiting, and then I'll go through all of them. That's what I'm just.
I know that the signage on the building was brought up in the past. It appears that you've downsized the Rio sign. And we recognize that businesses want to have signage out there so that it attracts customers. We recognize that. I think some of the people on the Historical Commission would be happy to see no signage on the building and to just give it a high-quality building. The lighted signage, do you have a permit for lighted signage? LED lighting or anything like that? Do you have a permit now?
I mean, I would imagine, I don't know if you want to finish, but if you want to answer this now, I mean, there is existing LED signage at the site.
So the town has a record of a permit issued for it.
Imagine.
Can we get an answer to that before you move forward?
The reason for that would be why?
Because do you need to have a permit for lighted signage?
It's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly nothing that we would take part in. And they're not necessarily looking for a permit for, lighted
Right.
signage.
Right.
So, I mean, you're
I'm just
asking for
throwing it-
something that really isn't within our province.
Okay, then whose province would it be in?
It's a planning board.
Planning board?
Planning board has the control of all the signage as far as planning board and the building inspector for the lighting.
I would start with the building inspector.
No, they're currently,
Okay.
hold on, you're concurrently working with the planning board,
Correct.
correct?
Yeah, Monday, we've got a hearing with them.
Did I hear Tom say there was did somebody say the planning board would be the one that's?
I believe it's a planning board. They're the ones that issue, they set the rules and stuff for especially for the LED lighting and the
Yeah.
digital lighting.
Because I know years ago, I think when McDonald's came in, that came through the zoning board. But
Well, we saw some of the gaudy things that can happen with those all-electric signs that can be modified.
Yeah.
Some of them are blinding at night, you know that.
but you think that's now with the planning board, or?
But I think that's what, I remember Richard Scolas being
I think so too.
party to that,
I'm just raising it as a question.
Yeah.
That completes my
That's it?
questions.
Okay. So if I could, I think canopy's probably outside of the ZBA's jurisdiction as well, but it's something that we hear you on. We'll talk to Cumberland Farms about. We'll see, why. And there's a lot of safety equipment that goes on top of the roofs. Plus, Cumberland was acquired 2 years ago, I think, by EG, and I think they're looking, this is, I don't think, going to be their prototypical store moving forward. We actually, when we came into the meeting with the planning department, DPW, police, fire, et cetera, back, I want to say it might have been March of this year, Cumberland had a much boxier shaped store in mind, something that's maybe more futuristic that wouldn't have fit in here.
Right.
And so one of the things, I mean, they peeled that right back, and we said, hey, we can either, frankly, bang our heads against the wall and try to do this or something more like this. So, that all said, I just don't know about the rooftop safety features of the canopy and whether or not they've moved totally away from putting some mansard or other shingled roof. We'll look at it, even though it's not part of here, but for, planning board, we'll take a look at that. Unfortunately, we're going to have signs on the building, so building without signage, appreciate what you're saying. LED, I think, is with the building commissioner, so it's not part of the board. It probably starts with him as, okay, how was it first allowed at this site? Is it grandfathered, et cetera, et cetera? So again, I don't think it's here for the board. And then as far as the height and why I was asking about, because I'm familiar with the Sturbridge site, I didn't permit it myself, but it's in an area where vehicles travel much more slowly than they do on the road that we're proposing this. And so it's about reaction time and alerting the motoring public in a sufficient amount of time. And so the faster, you can appreciate, on a highway, signs are going to be higher than 25 feet and bigger because people are going faster. Sturbridge is at a crawl. I mean, I don't have the data in front of me, but I know that it's because of the volume of traffic and the number of curb cuts and how people are turning, that folks are just traveling slower, and so you don't need the type of identification that you would here at this site. So that's why the square footage and the height of what we have here are what's being proposed. And I think in your bylaw, it allows a 30-foot high sign for gas use. And I have to imagine that that's because of that very factor, right? Because people are discerning when they're driving in their cars, they want to see what that price is, and if it's 5 cents too much, they might say, well, shoot, I know I can get something, if they're coming from the south, they may keep going to the center of town, to Shell, they might take a right, head down to the Honey Farms mobile station, something like that. So we think it's a function of safety, given the type of roadway that it is. If we were looking to permit something where the existing Cumberland Farms is now, right out here, with a gas station, we probably would be doing a lower sign, just because it's at that intersection with so many other, people are already stopped at that intersection. So that's why I think the size and the height of the sign for the location, we take it into consideration.
And the square footage
Same.
of the signage?
Yeah, same thing. And I
It's
think,
going to be just as large as what you first proposed?
yeah, what we first proposed, so the freestanding sign is the same height and square footage as what we first proposed. The support structure has been changed from that white wrap to have the full
Yes.
stone facade. The building signage has been reduced by like 40-plus square feet. I think it was we had proposed
That
like
helps.
100
Yep.
square feet, and we've reduced that to maybe, I think, at 60-something. This thing will cooperate with me. Yeah, 67 square feet, and is up at 109 square feet. So we've reduced that, I think, pretty significantly, and we took that canopy sign off. So we're trying to, frankly, we're trying to find the balance of this is a significant investment. They're obviously doing a lot of redevelopment. It's finding that balance of, justifying the investment to make sure that folks understand the offerings of the site, but to be sensitive to where we are in the town, in the end of the VB, what's around, and hopefully sparking redevelopment around us and being a good example of what can be redeveloped. I mean, I don't think it's, frankly, I don't think it's obnoxious for what's being proposed in conjunction with the entire site and how the whole site's being redeveloped.
Well, see, you're right across the street from some houses that date back to 1820, 30, 40, 50. And the square footage concerns us still because it's roughly 80 square feet
Yes.
as opposed to 32.
Understood.
That's a big difference. That's a huge difference. And even the height of the sign, I can understand your concern to advertise, sure, and we recognize that. But I think it's important for Cumberland Farms to recognize the area and to respect the area for what it is. And this is what we're trying to speak to. Because when you all leave and go back to your own communities, we will be continuing to look at what you've created. So we're looking for it to fit in, and we're looking for you to be able to advertise your presence also. But I think the respect for the community is really needed, and the square footage is pretty excessive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gene. I'm sorry, say again, please?
He wants to come up.
Oh, please, come on up. Just stop by your name and address, please.
Russ Pitko, 252 Sutton Avenue. I realize that we didn't get into much detail on the cultured stone around the building. We talked with your engineer and came up with a suggestion that it should be more of a fieldstone design, like the design of Sturbridge. And we'd very much like you to take that into consideration, or have you already?
Yeah, and I think, Chuck, this is what's in Sturbridge, is that? Yeah. Yeah, what we're showing is what was approved in Sturbridge. So while the renderings might not do it justice, but. Yeah, what you see in real life in Sturbridge is what you will see in real life in Oxford.
But it's not like this.
As far as the stone,
Yes.
yes, we're saying that the stone is going to be what you see in Sturbridge.
Around the building.
Like, if you turn around, what you see here. So this,
This here.
yes, yes, correct. That's going to be the same. So that stone feature wraps the building, the canopy bases, and the freestanding sign, and goes through the structures of the freestanding sign. So it's all of that same.
Is this what we saw in the photo? Yeah. What you show? Oh, very good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the follow-up.
We have one other person. Please come on up. Just your name and address, please.
Terry Cummings, Locust Street. One of the concerns in town, why these islands are in the middle of the streets, is speed going up and down the main street. If that sign was a little lower, and if, like at the junction of 12 and 20, you had one sign that gave the prices and it changed, hopefully that would help people to slow down on the street so they could read your sign. It would also cut down on your square footage. And I think that would be what I would like to see is just that one part of the sign that gives the price, and it goes so many seconds at the full price and so many seconds at the
Smart.
roundabout price.
Thank you. Counsel, would you address the board with respect to the concerns that we've heard over the last 5 or 10 minutes, and specifically as to whether Cumberland Farms would agree to make any further revisions accordingly, or whether Cumberland Farms will make a decision to simply stand pat?
So I'll answer the last question first, and I guess we'll go to the other ones, but you'll probably know my other answers once I give my first. So in the discussion with Cumberland Farms, this is where they're standing pat. I mean, these are and I hope you trust me on this, I had those conversations and I said, this is what I heard, here are some of the things, and they came back and said, this is what we have to have at this site. And I said, okay, and I will point out when it comes to that freestanding sign, I think it's probably worth doing. This top part is about 20 square feet. It's 19.99 square feet in area. This is about 12 square feet. This is also about 12 square feet. So Farmhouse Kitchen, Ria's Pizzeria, and Cumberland Farms altogether are about 44 square feet. And then you've got the gas station prices at about 36 square feet. So just to put it into perspective, yes, 80 may sound like a lot, but I think when you're breaking it down, you've got almost two distinct uses here, right? You've got the retail convenience store aspect, which is the Cumberland Farms, the Rias, and the Farmhouse. And that's at about 44 square feet, which isn't so far from 32. And then you've got the gas station, which is the other use, because remember, we're here in front of you for the special permit piece, for the alteration extension of the gas station, and then we're in front of the planning board for site plan review, because the retail, which is a different use, is allowed by right. And so it's like we have those two uses on the site. And so then I would suggest each respective use has a not unusual or extraordinary or offensive sign as it relates to the use. Like I said, 36 square feet for these, and then 44 square feet for what you have between these signs here. So, just something for the board's consideration. And I know you heard when we were talking about the height of the sign. I haven't heard signs as traffic calming measures. I like it. I may use that in the future for something. But I think people are going to do what people are going to do. And while I know that the islands appear where they appear for what they appear for, folks, especially coming from the south, I don't think there's an island, really anywhere near the site. From the north going southerly, there is that. But by the time you get to there, you're you're going to see the sign when you have to make that decision to either, and remember, this site, this is what it looks like now. You've got this curb cut, you've got this kind of unfettered access down here, and then you've got this somewhat unfettered access over here. What's being proposed, we're eliminating this curb cut. So when people are coming from the north, they're going to have to make a decision. Oh, am I going to turn into Fairlawn, or am I going to keep, that is a good price, let me take a right after the sign and come back in. And then coming from the south as well, just because, it might take people a moment to process the gas prices in relation to whether or not they want to stop and, they do have pizza. I've been in one. This is one of those Cumberland Farms with that pizza because it's just going to be different than the older one. So, for all of those reasons, I think we've got some traffic calming measures in the entire site design. And so, I think the sign will fit into what's happening with the balance of the site.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question?
Please.
What is the height of the canopy?
It's a great question. Well, let me see if I can get you an answer.
And the second question I have is, what is the height of the existing sign, the pole on the existing sign?
I don't know that I know that. I can tell you
If
the
that-
height of the building, I think, is 32 feet.
What did you say, Tom?
20 feet for the height of the
It's
canopy.
actually, that was going to be one of my questions, the existing sign that's there, then there's one on the other corner, the Safari sign also, that's a high boy.
Oh, I didn't realize
The
that. But
package-
but
the
what
old
I'm
package
questioning here is the height of the pole on the existing sign.
Yeah, I don't,
But I mean, we see the height of a car parked,
Yeah.
not parked there.
yeah.
The canopy looks like 14 to 16 feet.
This one I would say, and I think the other one is probably closer to 18 to 20 is probably where we're at. I mean, it's obviously higher. And then, so for context, this ridge I think is about 32 and a half
And on,
feet.
okay, and on your plan, the open space on this current pylon sign is up to the 14-foot height level? Or maybe better put, the bottom of the farmhouse kitchen sign, is that around the,
Yeah, let me take a
maybe the
look. So
13, maybe the 13-foot
if
level?
I do some revert, so
It looks like
6,
about,
8,
that's about 12 feet.
10, I would say more. So if I'm counting from the top is 25. And then we've got, I would say, about 3.5 feet, 6 feet, so that's 9.5 and 4. So
Maybe.
13, 14 feet is
Yeah, I'm
from the top.
scaling it off
so-
of the vehicles that are there,
Yeah,
too.
that's good
so.
too. Yeah, yeah.
And it does appear to be less than half, maybe, of the total height. Although I'm not seeing the part that's covered by the flowers
Right.
down below. I think it was discussed at the last meeting that there needed to be some opening there to look through for some safety.
Site prison. that's
Sight
all.
line, yeah,
So
the sight
I
triangle.
guess what I'm wondering is I don't know what the poles are made of. Do they come in fixed heights, or is it possible that could drop down even 2 feet, or it would still give you 10 feet underneath to look through for safety? I don't know if that's,
Well, that would depend upon whether Cumberland Farms is willing to adjust downward from 25
well, that's what I'm
feet.
asking, yeah. I'm just-
And unless I asked the question wrong, it would appear that Cumberland Farms wishes to stand pat where they
Yeah,
are.
and I think what I'll say is this. So I'd obviously like an approval tonight. So that's what I'm asking for. I understand your meeting next Thursday, but we end up leapfrogging with the planning board. So to get this reconciled tonight would be excellent based on the existing plan. I will give you my word that I will go back, if you approve us for up to, 25 feet frankly is allowed, right? Because I believe 30 feet's allowed for gas stations. I'll go back and I'll ask them if they can they drop the height at all? And I just don't know the answer because I would have to imagine they come in standard heights, which are more mass produced, and so they can get them more readily, and they're probably cheaper than having a 23.5 foot or 22 foot support structure made. If we can get something lower that is still meaningful and they feel comfortable with the sight line through, we'll talk to our traffic engineer to make sure that there is, because I think you're right, it's about 3 feet up, because that's where somebody's sitting in a vehicle. If we have that sufficient sightline and we can drop it, I think we'd look to drop it. And I can give you my word that that's what we'll look to do. And so it would be, I guess, if the bylaw allows the 30 feet, we're not asking for relief from the height, we're only asking for relief from the square footage. We can probably get on the horn and talk to them about, can they reduce the height, but the square footage is already allowed by you, and then we would keep the same square footage and be able to reduce the height. So I will try, but I don't know. I would ask that it not impact the decision this evening, long-windedly.
Thank you.
One of the, regarding, if I may, Mr. Chairman, regarding the canopy itself, the Auburn Route 20 facility has, I call it a reverse crown molding.
Mm-hmm.
It's some type of a decorative brown molding and it could be fashioned out of a synthetic material or metal, as an apron around the top, which adds a little bit of a historical, a wooden type of
Okay.
an appearance. I realize, you're dealing with fire suppression equipment and all kinds of other things and maintenance things, but
You can look to gussy it up.
I looked at that one, and that, I think, is something more than just a stark white that is presented. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I know that Auburn one, I think, has one of those old, Cumberland Farms goes through many iterations, but I think it has one of those domed entrances, like right in the front, which this one obviously doesn't. This one is straight all the way across. But yeah, we'll have those conversations.
Yeah.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to address the board? There being none, would the applicant have anything else he'd like to lay out for the board?
I don't think so. I think I've laid it all out there with these revisions. We'd appreciate an approval this evening, and like I said, I will go back and if your decision is crafted in such a way that allows the freestanding sign to vary by the square footage, then we'll go back and we'll take a look at the height, and I don't think that would require additional relief from this board. I'm just trying to streamline the process.
So right now, I think you call it a pylon, is at 25 feet max.
Correct.
All right, then I will entertain a
Can I ask a question?
please, Al.
These people. Do you have any objections if we can write something in there that stops that sign from being a flashing sign or a flashing arrow?
This here, the freestanding?
And how often you can change? I don't want to see a thing like they got down there where your billboard.
Oh, yeah, the electronic message center. Yeah. I don't care for those. We don't have that here, right? Okay. I'm just making sure you weren't hiding something from me, Chuck. Yeah, so the only change here will
Changing the
be
price,
smart pay member.
obviously.
Yeah, the
You're
change of the
gonna keep
price.
lowering it,
And then that's where I'm
obviously.
trust me, I'm doing the best I can. It's smart pay member to non. So the diesel price is static, save for those times when the commodity price changes.
Any objections to us putting something in? You can only change it once an hour. Or
Yeah, no, we
Once a day,
would have an
you could
objection.
have an
Yeah, we would have an objection to that. I think we could agree to no flashing. So they like to change that smart pay to non-smart pay. I think it's every 8 seconds is what they say, because they have to find the balance, because they don't want to, I think like we heard, you don't want to make it unsafe by doing it so much that people are like, wait a second, what is it? Or so slow to say, did I see something or did I not see something? So we can agree to not flashing, not fizzling. Like that's typically what we see with electronic message
Would
centers.
you define fizzling?
Oh boy.
I don't think I've seen that one before.
I'm trying to think of a good definition for it.
Fizzling.
Fizzling. Yeah. It's so if you've got the top and the bottom, it's starting at the top and then fading in a manner that isn't a static, comprehensive change.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've ever given fizzling such thought
Chairman?
before, but
I have a question.
Yes, Bob, please.
You're talking about the canopy, The exterior color of the building is gonna be a gray, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I'm
that's what
pretty
it's
sure I-
called to be. And, yeah, like a stone, let me call it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
It's
it
nice.
looks to be. a-
Grayish brown,
Beige, yeah.
beige.
Yeah. What if they did wrap the canopy in the same color as the building? It wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb, kinda. It would be a little,
I can appreciate the thought. I
because
think.
you're gonna have the stone wrap around the big sign,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And then if that top wrapping around the canopy, if that was made to be the color of the building, it might not just jump out at you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what I'll say. We'll look at it. My sense is that probably doesn't work, but there might be something else that, I mean, what I'm hearing is, see if you can soften it up a little bit. So
That's
what-
why the Auburn one, it leaves the white, but it has a dressing on top of
Yeah.
it, which is
Yeah.
about the same, it looks like a 12 to 14 inch
Reveal.
reveal, and there'll be like a crown molding of similar, you can change the color. or
I was thinking the house they're building down on Charlton Street here.
So
with that
we're thinking,
wrap on
if
the front.
possible and to the extent possible, quaint.
Yes, yeah, I hear you. And that'll be the direction. And Chuck knows I've worked with Cumberland Farms long enough that I can be pretty frank with them.
I would say, based upon your representation, that you will speak to your client about the quaintness. I would say that I would accept that representation.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing,
So moved.
Second,
and we'll vote
yes.
Is this a closing on the public
the
hearing?
closing on the public hearing on both.
On both?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I would,
it-
I would be curious to know why Al doesn't want to close. Is it you want them
I heard
separated?
enough on the signs.
Well, the public hearing is now closed.
Well, I didn't,
We can engage in discussion, but the public hearing is closed. So, does anyone have anything that they want to talk amongst the board? If not, we would proceed, we'll take it one at a time.
I would like to, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just find out what, I think what I heard Al say was there was two requests. And he
Doing two things.
didn't
I
get the
thought we
answer, he
were
didn't
doing
get to
them
ask
separate.
questions
I
on
didn't
his
answer
separate,
any questions
on his,
the
on
other
the
part.
second issue. I mean, we can talk amongst ourselves on the board, maybe we have the answers to what your questions are, Al.
And if I could, I believe two things in this circumstance. The board can always ask the applicant pointed questions. It's a public meeting. You just can't take new additional information. And so I think you've got the information. If there's a clarification that I can provide, I'm more than happy to provide it. The alternative is having somebody vote to rescind the earlier vote, and then you come out back into public hearing. That gets a little bit messier. So I would always suggest the first one with the pointed questions is probably cleaner.
Al, do you have any pointed questions for the applicant?
No.
No. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Just in general, or?
Well, when we vote, we're gonna vote, first for the special permit and then for the variance, but we can discuss either of them.
Okay.
I'd be interested in a little bit more discussion on how we're going to handle the sign variance because of the flexibility of the data that are we gonna restrict the height? Are we going
Well,
to,
my recommendation is that I would entertain a motion for the freestanding sign, otherwise called a pylon, to be approved up to 25 feet based upon the representation of council that was made earlier.
all right, that's how I was trying to figure out how you'd handle that.
Yeah, no, I
height
think that's a good question. There are a number of moving pieces.
And that answers my question.
On the special permit, it's that it's a pre-existing
Non-conforming.
non-conforming use of the gas station.
As part of the discussion, I would just lay out
Now,
the property as it currently exists is an eyesore, and it's been an eyesore for years. At least half of that site hasn't been in use for years. I'm very happy the Cumberland Farms is coming in and is looking to spend what I assume is more than a fair amount of money in purchasing and developing that site. I think that the Historical Commission has raised some very good points. Oxford is a very quaint town. I think it's also important for this board to weigh the importance of static versus change and embracing change if it's smart change. Especially with an eye to an applicant that doesn't have to come here and spend a very large amount of money purchasing the site and redeveloping it. So there is a bit of give and take. I'm very happy with how things have proceeded, both 2 weeks ago as well as this morning. And I thank both the applicant and the Historical Commission for coming before us and engaging in the process. I think that is vital. That is my discussion.
Mr. Chairman, amongst the board, I'd just like to, I guess, discuss briefly this letter that we received. This is from the building commissioner. This is dated today, and he's saying that the Office of Land Management has reviewed the letter from the Historical Commission dated October 3rd, and the Office of Land Management has not received a response from Cumberland Farms with the Oxford Historical Commission's recommendations. And that he would like the opportunity to review the response, Cumberland Farms' response, and revise plans before coming to a decision. I don't remember any condition placed when we met and continued last week that something had to go through land management or the building commissioner. I thought the understanding was that revised plans would be brought here tonight for the board to review as they were, presented and reviewed. I mean, if we acted on the initial request that, the original request for special permanent variance based on the original letters from the building commissioner of what was needed, and the process is, the applicant would come to the zoning board of appeals for relief is granted, there wouldn't be any conditional thing that it has to go back to the building inspector. And I think the changes that were made, reduction of a sign, reduction in size of another sign, or reduction of a third canopy sign, and wrapping with, the stone that we asked for around the base, the stone that we asked for to be wrapped on the pylon poles, I don't think those in any way increase the need for a variance. They don't add the need for another variance, I guess, or any other special permit. So I don't understand why we would have to go back to that something would have to go back to the building commissioner.
Well, the way I read this letter from the building commissioner, he wants to see the Cumberland Farms' response to the issues raised by the historical commission. And I believe that the response has been clearly provided, Cumberland Farms' response. I don't see a reason to kick this matter out any further. There has been certainly some change.
But nothing that makes it more non-conforming or more,
No, I think if anything, the changes that were made as a result of the involvement of the Historical Commission 2 weeks ago.
okay. I think, yeah, all right, I think that clarifies it. I think, I don't know, I've stated my opinion, but I think I understand what you're saying, and I mean, it'd be nice, obviously, the plans, you still have to go through the planning board, you worked with the planning board. Would in a normal process, I guess I don't understand it, would the plans have to go back to the building commissioner for him to issue the permit?
Yes.
Okay,
And you don't have site plan approval yet.
correct. Okay.
And things such as being able or not to see cars coming out from the side street, that's part of the site plan approval.
Right.
So I don't want the ZBA to start bleeding over into the planning board. I don't think it's appropriate.
I agree, Mr. Chairman, that especially with what Peter said. My opinion, I think the building inspector had an opportunity to, if he submitted any correspondence to Cumberland Farms and he was waiting for a response, he could have let us know at the same time. He chose not to do that. His position, we're the ones that are granting the variances, not he, and he can't, he's not gonna negate our decisions.
Yes, I don't see a reason to continue this matter, to make the applicant go backwards and go before the building commissioner based on the sign changes. I'm not gonna ask them to do that. I agree with you. So based on that, is there any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to grant the special permit to allow the extension of a pre-existing non-conforming use to allow for the redevelopment and combination of the two parcels for a Cumberland Farms gas station and convenience store.
So moved.
I'll have a second,
I'll second.
and we'll vote.
Yes.
Discussion.
Yes.
Question?
Go ahead, Al.
If this doesn't happen,
If
this,
if
go
which doesn't
away?
happen.
The special permit?
yeah,
If Cumberland Farms fails to
yeah.
make the purchase.
Well, I would assume,
Is that part of the thing that they're required to make the purchase?
well,
In other words, we're
I
not,
would assume if they're not allowed to redevelop the place, it would not make much sense for them to sink any money in purchasing the other lots. And they certainly wouldn't demolish the gas station if they're not gonna be allowed to put up what they're looking to put up. So we'll vote,
Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes.
and I will make it unanimous. The special permit is allowed.
Thank you.
Now, the vote on the variance is gonna be a little tricky. I would entertain
In any way? This is all about the signs, right?
no, this is,
This is the variance.
these are the regulations. So,
Yeah, no, these are the ones they're requesting here. Well,
no, it's not.
it seems different. This is what the building inspector put in.
These are the regulations.
Okay, okay. All right.
So we're going to have, I would entertain a motion to allow the variance for the signs specifically including, we'll start at the building. I'll call it the gooseneck lights with the square foot area on rear being
29.77.
That's, okay. 29.77, lit by gooseneck lights exterior lighting. The pylon pylon or freestanding sign would be non-flashing, will be up to, but not exceeding 25 feet in total height, would be wrapped, the columns, the poles, would be wrapped with a stone facade. At the bottom would be a wrapped stone facade planter being no more than 30 inches. There would be building signage, Cumberland Farms at the peak on the front being,
So I think, let me pull this one up. You'll see here, it's 5.5 feet, 5 inches by 11 is the whole square, but the sign itself is, you can say as shown on the,
as shown on the plan, and I'm sorry, it does not have a date.
I think 8/17/22 and submitted on 10/20.
Help me out with the date of these plans.
Okay,
Right here.
right, so, yeah, there you go.
Document date 8/17.
Does it really? Where's
Whoa.
this?
Okay. The rest of the signage being as shown on the plans, document date 8/17/2022, and submitted to the zoning board of appeals this evening, 10/20/2022. I would ask the applicant if I have addressed the signage that the applicant is requesting.
Canopy signs or?
Yeah, so I think if the addition of the canopy signs, so I think it's the same,
With the canopy signs as shown on the plan document date 8/17/2022 and submitted 10/20/2022.
Mr. Chairman, could you amend that to, on the height of the pylon, to state, you had stated 25 foot is the maximum, but could you also add the discussion that there's going to be an attempt to try and reduce that height?
Well, that would be up to 25 feet. I accept the applicant's statement that he will attempt to get his client to make it less than the 25 feet.
Okay, thank you.
I would entertain such a motion.
So moved.
And a second
I'll second.
discussion?
I would have the same comment that I made about the first one. If Cumberland doesn't go through with this, it would be the end of the approval.
I apologize, Al.
Cumberland
I'm
doesn't
not sure I'm
purchase the-
following the question.
If Cumberland doesn't purchase the other parcel and wanted to go with a sign, just to put up a big sign, we're not approving that. We're approving the whole concept.
If I could translate, Mr. Chairman, I think what he's saying is if they chose not to purchase the other parcel and only wanted to keep their existing parcel and then use this variance to add these signs to the existing store, whether it's the pylon only or anything else, I think we're approving based on the plans presented.
We are approving based on the,
is a-
specifically based on the plans presented.
Which is the combined parcels, yeah. That's my take.
That hand, yeah.
All right, and that addresses your concern.
yeah.
Very good. And based on that, unless there's any further discussion on the vote, I'll start with you, Bob,
Yes.
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 and I'll make it unanimous.
Thank you.
There's two other variances that have to be addressed here as well, Mr. Chairman. One is the variances for the parking in the front yard setback. And the second one is a variance to reduce the front yard setback landscaping area. Those have to
And
be addressed.
the original plans, or, you provide for these on these plans.
It's these
Same
two
plan,
things
right.
here from the zone.
I would entertain a motion to allow the requested variance for parking within the front yard setback and reduction of front yard setback landscape area as per the plans submitted this evening, 10/20/2022, showing a document date on the first page of 8/17/2022.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, was that both of them, or was that just one of them? Was that the?
That was both.
Okay,
So
And-
moved.
and these are from the regulations.
okay.
So
No,
moved.
This is the specific thing they're requesting. Oh,
No, these are from our regulations. I'm sorry, Tom, did you,
I move for
so moved.
Second.
Seconded, and there any discussion? We'll start down at you, Bob,
yes.
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 and I'll make it unanimous.
Thank you very much.
I think that
Really
covers all the
appreciate it.
bases, right? So,
Thank you very much.
Best of luck,
Thank you.
and we certainly do expect that you will prevail on your clients.
Even water wears away stone.
So they say. As there are no other matters in the hearing, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, we need to make a motion on the meeting next week.
That was continued already.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it sounds like they want to talk, or that'd be other business, or?
Well, was there new business?
Oh, it's
No,
talking.
okay.
Okay.
So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
and seconded, and Bob?
Yes.
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 Aye.
And I'll make it unanimous.